Hi, all my kings and queens. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy CJ, aka Mr. King CJ, to all you people out there. Today, I wanted to go ahead and just give you guys a updated Storm deep dive. Just show you guys of where I am with my build, things of those nature. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. So some things that I want a lot of you guys to understand is Storm is a complete PvE character. She's not good in PvP. Most people in PvP, like, they kind of have the stats with her and they can just like spin their ways through it. But like, that's probably about the best that you're gonna get with her. Most of her bread and butter is PvE. So I'm gonna get this recommendation straight out the way. Unless if you're going to be dropping a lot of money on this game, and I mean a lot of money on this game, I highly recommend you go strictly PvE with this character. So what do I mean by that? Let's go ahead and open up what she has in her arsenal. So she has two uniforms. She has her Hydra uniform, and she also has her Xandarth uniform. Both are phenomenal uniforms, and I will highly suggest that you guys try to strive for them, because it gives her lightning class a big boost, and that's probably the best class that she has by far. I honestly would not recommend any else other regional unless if it's like steampunk that does offer electrical class. So like I said, both of them does offer that. Also, she has trouble times hitting caps on her skills. Not her skills, but her stats. So she has a hard time capping her crit rate, her critical damage, and her defense appears. So, what you want to focus on is you want to get the badges. What kind of badges are you looking for? Most of the badges is you want to kind of look for the badges that are mainly green and red, but you want to focus on crit rating cores, and you also want to focus on crit damage cores. PvP, I guess. I mean, you can have, there might be a threshold for defensive pierce. I haven't tested it yet, but I have felt it when my defensive pierce has gone up. Maybe do some defensive pierce and critical damage cores if you can. So you guys see, I'm running double green. You usually want to try to strive for either double green or one green and one red. Those are the best options that I can give you guys, because this right here, I'm kind of missing because of this one yellow core. This one yellow core could be the difference between, 15% critical, 15 or 11% critical damage, or a 5% critical rate. So that can throw you off. As far as the other colors don't really matter unless if you do PvP. So like I said, the best badge set that will probably be for her, it's not really these ones. It is the level 100 badges. The level 100 badges are the ones that you go ahead and fight Maestro with. Maestro is this guy right here, of course. He drops these, 4 or 5 star badges, and what they do is they give you super villain damage. She has problems capping super villain damage as well, because that's not an exclusive stat. So that will help her a lot in PvE content. I see people running it all the time. Now, another recommendation I do want to give you guys is, if you are free to play, and regional is probably not the best thing that you're going to be able to get at this moment, there are two that I do highly recommend, and that would be the 80 set, because the 80 set gives you attack, defense, and pierce, and it also gives you the most damage output because of that Weather Witch skill, and we would get to that when we get there. There's also another one that I do somewhat recommend. It is the Masco Knights, because it gets the Icicle Crash, and that too also has a very high single target damage skill. But just letting you guys know, like, you at some point you're gonna want to start moving over to regional, depends on what you get. So those are the things that I recommend you use as a free to play player, because everything else is kind of you're not going to get that much out of her. Let's moving on. We're going to go ahead and go over to her skill set, because this is something I do want to show you guys. So now, these are kind of the skill sets that I have. Now, when I was telling you guys free to play, when I told you guys the 80 set, I was talking about this ability right here. This ability right here is definitely going to get you through. It's going to help you and all that jazz. It's going to carry you through the story mode on every PvE content, honestly. And then this right here is what I was talking about when I was saying it also has another skill that has a single target damage here that I highly recommend you guys do use if you can. If you're not a storm player that wants to be auto all the time and you kind of want to be at your phone, because she's a very squishy character, especially going through the story mode. You go to Sakaar, so running this is like a huge risk versus if you have this on right here, and this gives you another iframe, like an invincibility, gives you some time to heal yourself and those things. So both of those classes have very, very good options to them. Now, let's go ahead and start going through the skill rotation. So how I usually do it is I put this skill on, and as you guys can see, it's kind of the second ball here. This is kind of like all or nothing. Same with this as well, all or nothing. Like you want to have these two skills on. Now, when you come over here, you have two. Honestly, you have three options. It just depends on how well you're, what you roll on your gear and things like that. You have the two right here, definitely going to be bread and butters for you. Safety, damage. Also, this skill right here, this is a skill that you can cancel. So you can throw that out, dodge, and it still activate. And you can also use other skills along with it. So you can go ahead and get extra damage with it. And it's also a high guard break. You may never know when that comes in use, but I would probably stay away from it. But this is more of something like if you are experimenting and let's say you get Sakaar and you got to do a Deep Freeze class. And it's not like a bad skill, but you already got these other two that can help out. This right here, also a bread and butter in PvE. Now, why do I say PvE? Because you have this one right here. This skill right here is fantastic for PvP. It follows people wherever they go. So a lot of people uses this in PvP. So if you are a Storm that's planning on going PvP, then I highly recommend you go ahead and put this one there. But those are the two in those classes. Now, this one's right here. These are pretty contentious. This all depends on like what your boots roll. I'm not going to get into the nuance of the stats because everybody has different RNG, but think of it this way. If you have boots that roll 2 or 3 cooldown, and you probably have like 1 or 0 stamina recovery, then yes, let's go ahead and put this one on right here. And there's also a good, synergistic using this skill. But again, I would get to that later when we get to the specializations. Now, let's say your boots had rolled 3, it had rolled 3 stamina recovery, but you only have 1 cooldown or like 0 cooldown. Then this skill right here would be fantastic for you. Now, I will let you know, yes, it will help you cool down your other skills, but this skill itself, without like high skill cooldown, you're going to be, look at that, that's like a 36 cooldown, so it's kind of going to be very nasty. Yeah, it's helpful though. It's helpful. Now, for this one right here, these are the skill right here. This kind of is like all or nothing class as well. I use this for things like when I'm doing story mode, when I'm doing training grounds. This is definitely a skill that is fantastic. Oh, and Omega War too as well. If you're a PvP character, good skill to use in Omega War, and I guess Dimensional Duels as well because it covers so much ground. But this is definitely a skill that you want to use, especially if you're doing things like Hydra, Empire Escape, or Xandar, and Spec Ops. So this is definitely a go-to move as well. Another skill that I did see people using Dimensional Duels is this skill right here, only because of the high guard break. And that high guard break is like, it's no serious. Like it's a high guard break, but it has like multiple hits into it. So it's definitely, it'll work. It definitely works, and it tracks as well. You can use it anywhere, and it'll pop up and get them. Let's go over to the next class. This one, I mean, you can use this class. I don't really use this class much. I really don't even know where to find. The only thing I will probably say about this class is maybe if you want to do, Spec Ops, Xandar, again, Hydra Inspire, it gives you all this AoE. And the good thing about this skill is, like, you see her done casting and it still drops. So you can literally, like, throw that down, and then you can come up here and like drop this along with it, and it will continue to hit. So it's a good cancelable skill as well. Another thing is people use this too. I really don't use this because it's a long wind up, but if you go ahead and use your invincibility and then use this, it can save you some damage being taken to you. And it has, like, look at all that damage it does. It does a lot of damage. So it's not a bad skill. It can definitely work out for you. Now the only reason I can show you, I'm going to show you guys the skill rotation. So when this is kind of the skill rotation that I use, I kind of want to throw the ball out first because it doesn't take that much stamina. Then I pop my stamina recovery. This is all on auto. Then I go into my Weather Witch because this is going to consume the most stamina out of all these skills. Then I want to hit them with this because it's another high damaging skill. Then I want to go ahead and finish them off with this skill right here. So that's kind of how I work it through there. Another skill rotation that I know people can use, they will use the ball, and then they will use their cooldown skill. Then they will use their Weather Witch, which is the single target damage, and then they will pop their invincibility bubble, right? And then once that invincibility bubble is up, they will go ahead and pop this skill right here, the lightning attack skill, because this skill as well takes the time to, like this, like you see how long it takes for her to reel that up. Well, once you go ahead and pop this skill right here, like you get an extra 2 seconds of invincibility while you pop that. So as you're reeling this up, you're safe until it drops. So that's another rotation that I see Storm players do use. Let's go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and jump right over to the Omega cards, so I can show you guys what I'm rocking. So here's the thing. So Omega cards, they do play a factor in Storm a lot because you're going to want to roll shock damage. Shock damage is kind of like a multiplier. It's kind of like super villain damage and like total damage, kind of what you see other people get. So this is kind of her multiplier, and you want all these cards to roll as much shock as possible. And I do not kid you guys when I try to say get as much shock as possible. Chill damage is fine if you're doing Icicle Crash, whatever. If you have Icicle Crash in your rotation, it's fine, ice. But you want to try to get as much shock as possible. But here's the kicker now. Because Omega cards only plays a part as far as your, what your gears roll, right? I have a critical rate card. But I know for a fact that critical rate card is going to be obsolete in the near future because I have this uniform right here that I rolled all crit rate. So here's my recommendation for you guys, especially because they changed the Dark Zone. Dark Zone is very hard now, and I highly recommend free-to-play and new players don't even go in there. So honestly, take out this card, get it out your thoughts. All over it doesn't matter. This card does not exist to you free to plays or you new players anymore. But if you happen to drop this, and you happen to get this from boxes or anything like that, this right here is definitely a go-to card for Storm, for sure. This is definitely a go-to card because it gives you the critical rating, and Storm needs that critical rating. What you want to do is when you play Storm, man, you want to try your best to try to focus on as much critical damage and as much supervillain damage as possible as you can. That's the best options that I can give to you guys. I have 2 attack cards, which they serve their purpose well. only because they give me total damage. If these cards are not giving me total damage, I probably would get rid of these cards, in all honesty. Maybe throwing another defensive pierce or a critical damage card would probably be the way that I would go. But, however, that's just the way that the dice rolls. So, let's go ahead and look at some card sets. What are some sets that I do recommend for Storm players to probably chase? Let's start off with Hydra Empire 2. I recommend this because if you look in here, you have a critical damage card, and you also have a cooldown decrease card. Both of these cards are very, very viable for Storm. Like I said, guys, if you want to go ahead and you don't want to focus, you don't want to use that cooldown decrease skill, because I'm going to tell you why later. You can go ahead and supplement this card in here. Maybe try to get some cooldown rolls on your boots, so you don't have to worry about that. The critical damage, like I said, she has no way to really cap her critical damage or her critical rate. So fantastic card right there. 100% recommend. This card as well, it gives attack. Obviously, if you can get the good rolls on it with the shock, fantastic card. Another card that I do another one that I recommend you guys to go for. Again, everyone knows about it. Attack, crit damage, right there, bang. That's all you need to know. Let's go down. This set right here is good for Storm as well, because again, she doesn't have no way to really pump out supervillain damage. So you have this card right here, and I'm going to tell you guys how you go ahead and get these cards later. So you have the supervillain damage card, which is fantastic for her. You also have the attack card again, which is fantastic for her. You also have the defensive pierce card, which is also fantastic for Storm, especially if you're running Hydra. So there goes that. There's other things, there's mag damage rate and supervillain damage decrease. It doesn't really matter all that much. It's just something that's there. So those are kind of the cards that I recommend from that one. Let's go ahead and go down. This one right here, also fantastic. Let's go ahead and open it. So we have, that's villain damage. Yes, we have critical damage right here. As I told you guys, that critical damage is a pain. You're going to need it. Also, it gives super villain damage. Again, she can't cap that. Then this one gives you defensive pierce. So these are the things that I do recommend you guys, look into. Another set that I know people have spoke highly fantastic about is this set here. But the only thing that's really good off this set is the critical rate from this card. So take that as you will. Now, I mean, if you can get lucky and get the special cards, then this one gives critical damage. Fantastic once again. And this one gives attack. So fantastic once again. Then the stats down there below, it gives attack and defensive pierce. So those things stack up. Another thing that I did tell you guys in my last Storm video, I am going to correct myself here. I said there's really no difference between common cards and rare cards. However, I was wrong, because in the rare cards, you get at least one bonus stat versus the common cards, right? So basically what I was trying to convey in my video is you want to get rare cards because of the bonus stat. But however, if you get a rare card that is kind of just like guard damage decrease, and you like, what? Like, I don't really need that. But you got a critical, so you got that guard damage decrease, but then let's say you go ahead and knock up this card right here. Honestly, all cards are going to be valuable at some point, rather if it's re-rolled or used to fodder. So if you have this Thanos card, that's a common and it's an attack, but then you also have that rare card that's a guard damage decrease, then go ahead and rank up your common Thanos attack card. It's fine, okay? And if you want to do the common card route for now, I would highly recommend you guys. Let's go over here and look through, because there are some in here that I do know. Hold on, because some of these I did definitely take looks at. Right here, this one is a cooldown decrease card. So I think that one is a critical damage card. So you have two of these Hydra cards back to back, where you can go ahead and get your cooldown increase and your crit damage. Let's go ahead and see another card. That one's HP recovery. This one is defensive pierce, so that'll definitely work out for you. Most of these are, some of these cards you can see they're in sakaar, just by looking at the picture. Another one, another cooldown decrease. So like the common cards, they can help you top you over until you're able to get the right cards you need. So now let's go over to her potentials. Her potentials are not the best. They're just there, like, you know, attack, kind of, and it's like here, there's not really much. I would get into why it's not much. Here it's kind of just attack again. There's still not much. I could not tell you, but it changes up a little because now the very last one you get cooldown decrease. So try to max out that cooldown decrease as possible. Now, the status effect accuracy, even though it's useful on her, it's not really essential, kind of like how it is for Spider-Man and Star-Lord. The thing about the status effect accuracy, it lets you apply your debuffs much faster and easier, right? Here's the thing. Unlike Star-Lord, where his flames give him more damage, so you want to keep that uptime, so you want to have high status effect accuracy, or when you're playing Spider-Man and you're playing PvP, and so you want to get the little web icons up on people, you know, the one where it slows them down, it also knocks down their accuracy rate. So you want to have that high status effect accuracy on them. When you play a Storm, status effect accuracy is almost useless. Why? Because literally that's all she does. Her status effect accuracy is literally just decrease attack by 25%. You know what I mean? So it's like, what is that? Who is that helping? Like, that's really helping no one. I guess it gives her more survivability, but that's like about it. Then on top of that, this skill itself, it hits for so many hits that even if you have low, you know, status effect accuracy, bro, this is gonna pop off and like catch it. Like it's trust me, you're gonna have the stacks on it up repeatedly with this, only because of this skill and this constantly ticking. So status effect accuracy for her is not really all that. Even when you use the ice, like, it decreases movement speed and dodge rate by 30%. Like, and like it's because that dodge rate up there, that's actually fantastic for PvE, because if you don't have accuracy rate on your card, bosses do have a chance to dodge. So if you can decrease their dodge rate, that's fantastic. But here's the thing: you have to sacrifice an electric skill, and it's not worth it. I'm going to be honest with you guys, it's not going to be worth it. So just stay away from that as much as possible. Let's go out to the specialization. Now here's where the big synergistic things come from. So over here, this is what I'm going to call a bread and butter for Storm. You're going to need this. Now this is why you want to really try to focus on your skill cooldown, because for every lightning cloud class skill that I have on right now on my Storm, I get 3% extra damage. Now let's go to my skills. So let's go ahead and count it, right? We got 3%, 6%, 9%, 12%. So I'm getting an extra 12% on all my lightning skill classes, and that's 12% for each one, only because I have all electric classes. So if you take this off for the cooldown decrease, you know, skill, you're only going to be getting 9%, right? Because now you just took that off, which is why my philosophy is try to go for cooldown as much as you possibly can. And if you do get some stamina recovery, that is fantastic on top. What I would highly try to recommend for you guys to go is maybe do like 3 stam recovery and 2 cooldown if you can, or vice versa. Try to keep it in that area. So that's the tandem that works with. Let's move it down. So we have this right here. This is also another bread and butter of Storms. But listen here, unless if you're well, you have to kind of gauge where you are with this, right? Look at the stamina cost that's going to take. That's 21% extra stamina cost reduction. Now I don't have the math. I do not have the math, but if I have a skill that's doing like 33, you know, stamina recovery costs, it's probably going to jump up to about 36 37 maybe ish around there. And those extra mini numbers actually matters when you're trying to put in skill rotations. And you can easily get stam locked. Like I'm easily getting stam locked as is because I have no stamina recovery on my boots. So again, that stamina recovery skill is going to be coming in handy as when you're doing this, and you gotta find the right balance, and I mean that. Don't put this all the way to 10 if you don't have the money to supplement the stamina recovery that it's going to cost you. Maybe do 6, 5. I feel like I went too high for my own being right now. I wish that there was a way that you can retract some of these, because I definitely would. I'd probably go down by 1 or 2. This right here is another one, because no matter what you're going to do, you're always going to be running a deep freeze. Why? Because you're going to want the invincibility or the icicle crash. I don't see why not. Or you're going to want one of the snow showers for, AoE purposes. So this right here, like I said, man, you have that cooldown. You want to have them cooldown on your boots, man. This will go ahead and help you cap your ice skills to 50% much more easier. So that's a big option. And like I said, man, I know some people want to have mascot nights because they're free to play. So this right here is also a one that you can invest into, because of the explosion that it creates, and it's like a very high damaging explosion. Like, it's no joke. It's viable, and you can see it. So let's go on down to the very last one. If you want to be a PvP character, this one right here would be fantastic for you. It's kind of, increase of dodge, skill gauge, recovery. This is the same thing that kind of Captain Marvel and Spider-Man has, but theirs is more broken. I'm not sure why it's just not that broken on Storm, so that's kind of weird to me, but it's there if you need it. It also comes in handy in PvE as well. Yeah, these right here, these are just kind of air clearance class. These are, really, like, I don't, you know what I mean? It's not really like that much. They're just there. She's not like other people where, hey, they put it on there, it's going to be great. But you know what? If you're going for deep free class, this is going to be good for you as well. I honestly did not notice this was over here, so I kind of got shocked by that. But like I said, it's there if you need it. Some other 2 ones that I tried this one. This one is you're done. You don't need it. It's useless. That's very useless. And this one right here, this is something that's going to help you out in like battle challenge. Especially in like lower levels when you're trying to clear in like 1 second or something like that. Because what this will is, as long as you just use a skill, it also creates another chain. So it's going to knock out enemies as fast as possible. I guess if you want to get like high scores in battle challenge, then maybe equip this one. But that's probably the only thing that's useful for. So, we hit on everything that I can think of with Storm at the moment. What I want to tell you guys is Storm is a PvE character. She's not a PvP character. So people's gonna say, "Oh, she's underrated." No, bro, she's not underrated. You're just spending a ton of money on her, and you're whooping up on other people that's lower than you, or you're probably a free-to-play player that's kind of like, at the bare minimum, you found a way to max your PvP damage decrease, and now you're just whacking up on other free-to-play characters that are, not having PvP builds. That's kind of what's going on with her. I almost forgot one more thing for her. So, they also gave us these new things called companions. There are 2 companions that I highly recommend for Storm players. And that would be Donna. Donna's number 1 by far. And then you have Athena. I have those 2 because of the fact that they give you boosts, right? So Athena, she gives you an increased attack boost to that 17%. So it's kind of like it just boosts like your overall attack. So it's nice. It works in that way. But this is kind of the second. It's really trivial, and you also have to like stay in place for her to drop it, which can be very annoying. Now Donna, by far number 1. She's great. She is fantastic. The biggest thing with her is because when you drop her, you can walk away and go anywhere you want to. That's so fantastic because you don't have to just stand in one place. You can keep fighting while she drops it, and then she does give you that. But here is the kicker: hers is increase all type damage by 20%. What does that mean? So versus Thena, right? So when you drop Thena, what Thena does is, you see my attack power down there. What it does is it boosts that attack that I have, that 22% by 17%. I don't know what 17% of 22k is right now off the top of my head. But I'm pretty sure I will later. But so that's good. That's good because 22k is a lot, and 17% of that is going to give you a pretty modest buff to that damage. However, when you drop Donna, what Donna does is she increases your all types. So what are all types? Types are kind of things like your elements, right? Those are like your fire damages, your shock damages, your chill damages. That's what all types are. So Donna boosts your shock damage, and when she boosts your shock damage, it also goes in tandem with your 22k. So you're getting 22k, right? And let's go ahead and look at my shock damage on my storm so we can go ahead and balance this math out for you guys a little bit. Let's see where my shock damages is. I don't think do they even show you guys the shock damage? Let's see where my Omega cards are. Yeah, looks like they don't really show you guys the shock damage, which is unfortunately on here. But let's say I have 6 slots of shock damage. No, I have 1 chill damage, like 5 slots of shock damage. So let's say I have roughly around 50% to 60% shock damage, right? So that shock damage is equivalent to her attack. So the extra shock damage that I'm getting is percentage of this attack. So she's already hitting hard because that shock damage percentage is playing in tandem with the attack. So the higher that my attack is, the higher that my shock damage is. The higher that my shock damage is, it plays in tandem with my attack, which makes me hit a lot harder than what it seems like I'm doing. AKA, which is why Storm is so hard to cap her crit rate, her crit damage, and supervillain damage. Because if she was able to easily cap those skills, she would pop off even more than what she is right now. So if I'm already at 60% hitting hard on my Storm because of how much attack I have, when you drop Donna, that's a flat percentage boost to her shock damage. So now I'm going from 60% to 80%. So 80% of that 22k, that is a lot. Like, I don't know if you guys understand. Like, when it comes to percentage, when you come from the lower end of it, like from 0% to 5% is not that much. You stand with me here? 0% to 10%, not that much. Now 0% to 20%, now you're talking. But the higher that you go in the percentage, the more that those little bitty increments of percentage being added counts even more. For an example, if you're playing Spider-Man and your Spider-Man has 60% dodge, then that 65% dodge from that 60% is not going to really show much. But however, let's say your Spider-Man has 95% dodge, right? That's a high dodge, but people still has a possibility of still hitting you. So let's say you get an extra 5%, and now it jumps you up to 100% dodge. Now nobody's hitting you at all because of that 5%. Like, that 5% just took away anybody hitting you at all. That is how big of a difference these percentages matters in the long grand scheme of things. So just look at Donna as kind of someone that boosts your overall attack, but not really affecting your attack numbers. It's kind of just a multiplier to your attack. So it's kind of a multiplier of your attack versus Thena, that's kind of just adds to your attack, if that makes sense to you. So Donna, yes, number 1 for Storm. And also she's special. She's free to play friendly. You don't have to go break the bank for her. Just get her if you can. I wish you best of luck on your journey, Storm players. And also remember, man, also build on what the best stats you have for your character. I'm running Xandarf. This has attack, defensive, pierce, and lightning skills. And somehow I have 67% crit rate. When I ran my Hydra, you got the same badges, guys, and you know that gives me like, of course, if I had the other shoe on, which I usually do, it would be giving me 11% crit rate. And with this build that I have on here, it only gives me 50% crit rate. Why? Because of the rolls, the stats that I roll, man. So you can either go with Hydra or Xandarf. It doesn't matter. It's all about the rolls that you get. Just know that. Any else other reason to go besides Hydra, Xandarf, or Steampunk, don't even worry about it. Go ahead and transmit it to somebody else. Free to play characters. Let's go ahead and get this rundown for you guys. You guys want Moscow Knights or 80s? So that's the biggest thing that we're going to take away from this. And like I told you guys, Donna, best character the best companion that she can have. Very free to play friendly. Go ahead and hop on that as soon as you want to. Storm is a very good free to play friendly character. Her biggest problem is capping stats. So unless if you care about capping all your stats, then Storm would definitely get you further with a half-baked build than mostly other characters going to. Her spec tree is not too in-depth. Her spec tree is kind of like very linear, but it's linear in the fact that now you don't have to invest so many different specs to find out what's the best one, because you already know which one is the best one, and this is right there. So free to play players, you know what you're aiming for and you're going for that, versus if you're playing Iron Man or Spider-Man, right, and you're like, okay, I have this repulsor energy, let's do repulsor energy spec, or okay, I have this weapon cartridges spec, so let's do the weapon cartridge spec. Or versus Spider-Man, when he has his web shooters or his combat spider, you're kind of like, okay, maybe I can invest in this and this and this and that. No, Storm is kind of just that one linear path, and you go straight forward. You can do the ice build, but I would not recommend it. That's just something that happens if you just so happen to follow that, and it is what it is at that point. But I hope that this information is that I relayed to you guys was very helpful. Like I said, I'm playing Storm every day. I love playing Storm every day. Even with this very scoffed build that I have of her, which is like only this, which is even worse when I have my badges on. I am number 2 in Epic Invasions right now. Yeah, I think I'm still number 2, right? Yes, I am number 2 in Spec Ops with her. Not Spec Ops, God dang it, I mean Invasions with her. So take that as you will, my guys. She can get it done. She can definitely get it done. Here, let me go ahead and hide my face so you guys can see. Yeah, that's my score right there. So all in all, Storm is a fantastic character, PvE wise. PvP, you're not gonna have the best time. Maybe build another character on the side for PvP. But that is the end of the show for her. I hope that you guys did like this video. Just let me know if it was able to help. If you feel like I missed something, just let me know down below. You know what I mean? Win a bonus round. Storm is probably like top 3 uniforms in the game by far. That's all I can say. Top uniforms by far. I love her uniforms. I love what she can rock. Very easy, man. It's yeah, man. She's a queen. She's definitely a queen, and they did her right. So hey, man, justice for Storm in PvP, but that's about it. PvE, she's fantastic. All right, guys, for real, I'm out this time. Peace. Yes, sir.